300 episodes in.
No. Only 297.
I'm just eager.
It's within sight.
It's getting
We're creeping
close.
there. It's getting there. Episode 297 of the Horror Guys.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we got 297 episodes of Horror Weekly.
This is a very new stuff kind of week.
Last week was a bunch of new stuff.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of new horror coming out. You'd almost think it was Halloweenish.
You'd think these industries were gearing up for it.
Setting their sights on October.
Yes, they are.
Well, what do we got?
We like it. Well, we got, Attack of the Meth Gator, also known as Meth Gator.
Not related to Cocaine Bear at all.
No,
Not at all.
No, they totally weren't trying to copy each other. And then, just before the Olympics, there was a shark attack in Under Paris.
Yeah, it's the most believable movie of this week.
Oh, yeah.
Probably more realistic than even Meth Gator.
And the technically 2023 movie Kill Your Lover, which is new. It's one of those where it's
Just released
kind of thing. And also a just released. Was this one just released? The Abandoned?
No, that was a year or two ago.
Okay, that one was...
This is the one we talked about last
2022.
week.
Okay.
So if you were eagerly waiting for a
mentioned-
review of The Abandoned, we had to include it.
And 2024's Starve Acre, starring Matthew Smith
Yep.
as not Doctor Who.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, all of those have been released this year, so they're all new.
And then we got some 5 shorts.
Five
shorts.
That's crazy
One of
talk.
the 2 of those is brand new, and 3 are older ones. But
Yeah.
they were all good.
We'll watch all the good shorts. We don't care how old they are.
The movies were hit and miss this week. The shorts,
yeah, they were.
The shorts were all good.
Yeah.
For different reasons. Different
You want to
ways.
predict what your favorite movie of the week was?
I already predict, and no. Should I spoil it now?
Yeah.
Starve Acre.
This is kind of
was my
slim
favorite.
pickings this week.
Okay. I really liked Starve Acre. I liked Kill Your Lover a lot, too. The other 3 were various degrees of... Well, Attack of the Meth Gator is silly fun. I didn't hate it.
Attack of the Meth Gator is a comedy, basically.
Yeah, they're deliberately.
Under Paris is just turn your brain off
Boy,
before you go in on
I
that
felt
one.
less intelligent after watching that one.
Yeah.
And The Abandoned...
We're agreed on The Abandoned.
Yeah,
it shall not be spoken of until it's time.
We weren't happy with it.
No. Yeah, I'm going to go with Starve Acre also. Although I thought Under Paris was pretty entertaining. Stupid, but entertaining.
Okay. It was entertaining, but for quality, I'm going to Kill Your Lover as my number 2.
All right.
Yeah.
Attack of the Meth Gator is coming up first, 2024, a.k.a. Meth Gator. Directed by Christopher Ray, written by Lauren Pritchard and Joe Roche. Stars Laurent Marzette, Ray Acevedo, and Vanessa Tamayo. Hour and 29 minutes, trailer in the show notes. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Just from the name, that's all you really need to know. You know what's going to happen. You know it's going to be a comedy.
It's in the spirit of Cocaine Bear. You know, the same kind of humor as Sharknado.
Supposedly this
animals,
was made the year before Cocaine Bear.
Supposedly?
I am very skeptical on that story. It has more silliness and humor than horror, but the elements are there. It's got a big monster and a decent body count. It's as much horror as a lot of other things. Mm-hmm. We are very loose on our definitions.
But it's very silly.
The gator and a lot of the effects are CGI, but they work well enough. Turn your mind off to logic and science for this one, and you'll have a good time. Yeah, this is our turn your mind off to science and logic week, I think.
At least on 2 of these for sure.
Several of them, yes.
Yeah, several for sure. But this one and, and Under Paris.
Well, again, these films are all new, so you probably haven't seen most of them, so we're not going to spoil them to death. We'll just give you a good taste. But if you want to read the full spoilery synopsis, go over to horrorweekly.com. And it's right there. You don't have to sign up to read recent reviews, but if you do, you'll get them in your mailbox. You won't even have to go looking for them in the future.
All right.
But yeah, go over and read the full synopsis. We're going to tell you what we thought of it for sure, though. But give us a taste. What's going on?
Well, we open on shots of gators in the swamp. You'd think it was a gator movie. Well, and then we cut to drug dealers, Shane and Trigg, who are frantically packing up their stuff as the cops close in. Sheriff Williams botches the bust, and the dealers get away and run for the swamp, with some packs of meth that fall into the water. Well, Shane steps into the swamp as Williams closes in on him, and the gator gets him first. He also gets the deputy. And credits roll.
It always pays to watch the credits.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, Trig, the drug dealer. You know who he is?
No. Who?
Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch.
Wow.
The mayor. You know who he is?
Fame. No, who?
The skinny little boy from Little House on the Prairie.
No.
He's
all grown up?
Gained about 800 pounds, but yes.
He's not the skinny little boy anymore.
So this is kind of your has-been movie here.
Oh, well,
they're big
looking
stars.
For work. They're
yes.
looking for work. They're eager to keep working.
Couldn't tell you either one of them their names right now, but if you look in the credits, that's who's in it. So what does the mayor do?
Well, he pays off some gator hunters to take care of this extra big gator, and he wants the whole thing done quietly. There's some celebrations and stuff coming up in town. They don't want to interfere with the tourism. Well, Sheriff Williams' son, Dante, now works for the DEA in Tampa, and he comes up for the gator as well. That gator ate a whole duffel bag full of meth. And it didn't die from it. It seemed to get stronger and bigger. Well, Dante says that gator might be suffering from psychosis. And it may be looking for a meth lab.
It needs more.
For more, because it's an addict now, too. Well, Williams calls Bithlow, who owns a gator farm, and he has found the monster with his drone, but it's way too big for him to handle, and he knows that after it eats his drone. The mayor's gator hunters stalk the big guy, but they don't know when to quit, and it gets them. Well, Dante goes to see the mayor, who's throwing a party, and Anna, Dante's ex, is there as well, which is kind of awkward. Grady, an old friend, is much more enthusiastic about Dante's return. Well, meanwhile, at the meth dealer's place, the men there fill up more duffel bags with powder, and they're moving this load out via kayak, and the gator is not far away. It kills them and their girlfriends. Chases one guy up the side of a cell tower even, which is like the most awesome scene in the movie.
It is. I was just going to say that's the best scene of the movie. Yes. It's giant, oversized alligator crawling up the side of a cell tower.
Well, the weight tips over the cell tower under the weight. And wouldn't you know it, the town is cut off now because there's no cell service. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
They're kind of an island. They're separated. Yeah. They're isolated by swamp. Well, this gator's going to have meth mouths since Bithlow found a huge tooth.
That seems like a good place to stop. The gator with meth mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it just gets weirder and funnier.
Oh, yeah, it does. Well, supposedly this was in the works before Cocaine Bear came out last year, but it's very nearly the exact same plot. It's got humor, but it's nowhere as near as funny as the bear. Do you agree with the bear better?
I think so, yeah.
Bear better.
Uh-huh.
The little island has a mayor who won't shut down the big festival because they need the tourist money. That's never happened before. What is up with Grady's bar? It looks like it's in somebody's living room.
It does, yeah. I think that's...
The shots of the outside of the bar looks like it's their house.
I think that's the set they had to work with. Yeah.
The scene of the gator climbing the cell tower is worth the price of admission alone. Also, just because it's on meth doesn't make it bulletproof.
Yes, it does.
Apparently
yes,
so.
It does. The science is so bad at
It's shot at thousands of times here, but it never slows down.
And it's one of those where, and you see that trope in movies a lot, where there's a monster, and they're shooting it, and the guns don't work. Do they come up with a different solution?
They just shoot it some more.
They keep shooting it some more. Why is that a thing in movies? I guess you don't want to give up hope. You think that guns should work. Well, they don't.
The acting here, believe it or not, is fine for this kind of movie. It's well shot and it looks good. The gator is mostly CGI, but it's not terrible. Yeah, I mean, this is a cheap, stupid movie to watch for entertainment value alone.
But it was fun.
But we liked it, yeah.
Thought it was fun.
Definitely not going to win the best of the week, but it was good.
But worth the watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Under Paris, 2024, directed by Xavier Gens, written by Yannick Dehan, Maud Haywang, and Xavier Gens. Stars Bernice Bejo, Nassim Lees, and Leia Levant. Hour and 44 minutes.
It is a French movie.
It is.
In French with subtitles.
Yeah. Nobody wrote a spoiler-free judgment zone for this one.
Whoopsie.
Well, there's a shark under Paris. Spoiler-free. Well, we open on a boat.
And in the North Pacific.
In the North Pacific. The people on the boat are doing a documentary or news report about the huge miles-wide floating trash problem. There's also something about shark evolution to deal with the trash. And yeah, this kind of makes no sense. I could see them out there doing the report on the trash, but what's that got to do with sharks?
Because it's
Well,
interrelated.
stay tuned.
Yes.
Suddenly, the tracking device signals, and everyone runs out to put wetsuits on. They dive into the trashy water and find a dead whale caught in a net. There's blood in the water from the whale. A whole pack of sharks approaches, including one that is absolutely huge. This is one that they tagged a few months ago, but it shouldn't be that big. How is this possible? Well, the shark attacks and kills all 4 divers, including Sophia's husband. Sophia jumps to investigate, and it grabs her and pulls her down so deep that her eardrum ruptures. Credits roll.
Credits roll.
Yeah, she was underwater a long time before the shark grabbed her, and then it carried her down like a mile and a half, and she still managed to get to the surface.
She's tough.
Yeah. 3 years later, in Paris, some kids go magnet fishing. They pull up an unexploded bomb. The police mention that they found at least 100 of the things as they get ready for a triathlon. Yes, the Paris Olympics is coming.
Yep.
The police clear the river of magnet fishers and kayakers in preparation for the race. Well, we cut to Sophia, who is now giving tours at the aquarium. It's probably safer there. One of the kids asks if her entire crew died in a shark attack, so she quits and cries. Someone from an environmental group comes to her saying they found the killer shark. Beacon 7 is now in the Seine River near downtown Paris, on the opposite side of the globe of where she was attacked. Sharks can't survive in fresh water, but maybe the pollution has changed that.
Or maybe just the science is awful in this.
Yeah. Well, the woman in charge of the group thinks they can communicate with a shark, which Sophia thinks is ridiculous. Meanwhile, the 2 women from the environmental group take a boat out on the river and go diving for that shark. The diver finds a car down there that looks like it's had a bite taken out of it. She comes up and the police nab her. Sophia, with her tracker, arrives on the scene and sees that the shark was right there. They narrowly averted a disaster. Well, the police take their boat back to the police station, and Sophia rides her bike to a place where we just saw the policeman talking to a group of homeless who are now suspiciously all missing.
And just the dog is left.
And this never was really explained. Did that shark jump up and eat the men on land?
I guess they got too close to the
It was
shore.
cold. It was winter. They weren't swimming. They weren't fishing.
Too close to the edge, I guess.
Okay, it's a land shark now.
Well...
But it's not.
Not really, no. No.
Adil, the cop, questions Mika, the diver he arrested, and she knows all about the shark. The cops call Sophia. They found a bunch of chewed up bodies and some homeless people. The police chief doesn't believe there actually is a shark, but Adil does. She rides along on the police boat with her tracker, but most of the cops are still skeptical. And we'll probably stop there. Have you seen Jaws? It's kind of the same thing, only in Paris.
And on a bigger scale, because now
much bigger,
the mayor has the Olympics coming up, and we can't have a scare, so we're going to cover up that there's a shark, and that doesn't go very well.
Well, the 2024 Paris Olympics really did have swimming events in the Seine, but no sharks were involved.
Not that we know of.
Yeah, that's true. Almost all the underwater scenes show garbage in the frame. The filmmakers had an obvious environmental message to send to us about pollution. Killer shark movies are not known for their intellectual writing, but this one takes the cake for putting people in ridiculous situations. There's a scene about in the middle of the movie where a whole bunch, like 70 people, 100 people are in this little tiny cramped chamber in the Paris catacombs that is flooded. Outside the door, you see the police arrive in their police boat, and there's 3 kayaks parked outside.
But
there's 100 people in here. Where'd they all come from?
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out to be the nest of sharks that tear them all to pieces. It's a great scene, but oh my goodness, is it dumb.
Yeah, it is dumb. And panic is a
yeah.
factor in it, too. Because they're on, they're not in the water.
They're standing on a ledge around they're not in the water. You're right, yeah.
Yeah. And panic ensues, and so, of course, a bunch of people fall in the water because they're screaming and running. And
all the people seem to fall in the water.
A lot of them do.
3 and 4 times sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's not the dumbest part.
The dumbest part is maybe the very ending.
The very ending, yeah. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but, well, okay. Have you ever seen Planet of the Apes? It's going to be Planet of the Sharks very, very soon.
Yeah, the ending of the modern Planet of the Apes. You remember? when it showed the plague spreading across the globe.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it shows a map at the end of the plague of sharks that are going to take over the world.
Shark versus Earth. Shark wins. Yeah. It's dumb, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
All right.
It's mostly dumb.
Kill Your Lover, 2023, released this year. All right. It is directed by Alex Austin and Keir Stewart, stars Paige Gilmore, Shane Quigley-Murphy, and May Kelly. Hour and 17 minutes, and there's a trailer in the usual place. And Kevin liked this one. This was, your number 2 movie this week?
It was, yeah. I liked it a lot.
It was well made. It was professionally done, looked good, sound good. I just thought it could have been, a half an hour story.
It didn't click with you?
It did not click with me.
It was only an hour and 17 minutes. I thought it was the perfect length for what they had.
I think they could have sped it along.
Oh.
It was an interesting idea, with a relationship gone sour, made even worse by actual acid hatred. The script is simple, but well written and realistic, and the direction is skillful, with much flashing back and forth between the past and the present, letting us see gradually how things build to an awful climax. And Kevin liked it more than I did.
Mm-hmm. And I thought the actors were very good, especially her.
They were both good, yeah.
Yeah, where she starts out as, and showing how she changed over the years being with him. And, I liked it.
The criticisms that I've read from other reviews are that it spends too much time on her point of view and not enough on his.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it sound like she's right, and she's really not.
Yeah, I think they're both at fault here.
Okay. Well, what happens?
Well, we open on a photo of Alex and Dakota.
Axel
and Dakota, as someone takes it off the wall and smashes it. And credits roll.
Well, this was off to a good start.
And we're going to come back to that at the end. Yeah. Well, Dakota practices her breakup speech with her friend Rose. She thinks Axel won't really break up with her unless she makes him hate her. She's tried before. Well, we get a flashback to their first date. Axel looks at all of Dakota's photography work, a montage of her that's on the wall with many various people. Dakota used to be in a band, and now they're all mostly dead. And then in the modern day, she laments at how mundane and boring she's become since then.
And these pictures of her in the band, she's naked in half of them and kissing girls in the other and kissing guys with the other. And it's all very sexy and, open. And you can tell she was fun back in the day.
Wild and partied.
Yes.
Yeah. And now she's,
there are framed flower pictures on the wall.
Yeah, much more tame. Yeah. Well, Axel comes home from work early. He's sick and throwing up. He overhears the women talking about the impending breakup. Well, he's got black veiny things spreading around his torso.
That's never good.
Yeah, but she says to Rose, well, as soon as he gets better, I'll break it off. And trying to make up for it, Axel wants sex right now. But he's kind of sick and gross.
Yeah, he is.
So Dakota doesn't enjoy it too much. She fantasizes about when they first did it and how they got started as a couple. And she was really wild and into all kinds of things, like you said, but he's kind of tame and boring by comparison. Vanilla. Just wanted a normal relationship. And she was kind of into kink. He was not, but he tries badly. And we see that from early on, the two aren't that compatible. Back in the present, the sex isn't going so well when he pukes all over Dakota.
So romantic.
Yeah. Well, as she showers, Dakota notices that he's left bloody marks where he touched her. There's actually a handprint that's red. Even before she finishes, Axel calls for help and has some kind of seizure. When he touches Dakota, her skin burns. So she calls for an ambulance to come and take him away. And she flashes back to not liking his choice of decor for the apartment. He doesn't like her working at the bar, and he wants her to get a more respectable job, but she doesn't want to clean up her hair or cover her piercings. And he doesn't care for her wall of band photos either. Like you said, she's naked, kissing someone, or being sexual in almost all of them, and he doesn't approve.
It's a little on the prudy side.
Yeah. Well, back in the modern day, the EMTs arrive. And we see that Axel is kind of mutating into something that has branches. It's even spreading up the wall in the tub. And the lady EMT looks in there and says, Ricky, I'm going to need a hand with this.
Yeah, it looks like a good place to stop.
Yeah. It's
They hate each other, and there's this weird disease thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your messy breakups.
Yeah, literally messy. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is romance horror, or maybe just how badly a romantic, sexy relationship can go really bad.
Really, really bad.
Or maybe it's about the horror of learning to compromise or not compromise.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a long time before we get to a more standard definition of horror, but he gets there. There's a lot of body horror involved in the ending, but that does come after a lot of relationship drama.
I thought it meshed well together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the makeup and the gore effects are well done and very effective here, but otherwise there's not that much in the way of special effects. There's no laser beams or aliens. It's just this disease stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more of a breakup allegory or metaphor, but it's told in horror movie terms. I don't regret watching it, but I also kind of have a hard time recommending it.
Oh, I recommend it.
It's a nice idea stretched out for far too long, and it's still a shortish film.
And you don't know if it's a plague or if he's patient zero or any details about it.
That's not addressed, no.
It's just them, yeah. Yeah. I thought the back and forth with the present and the past was really well done.
Okay.
Relationship breakup dialed up to 11.
Yeah, breakup horror.
Yeah.
Then there was one that I wish we could have broken the DVD before we watched it.
We didn't watch it on DVD.
Yeah, wherever we got
streaming.
this, I regret it. 2022's The Abandon, directed by Jason Satterlund, written by Dwayne Worrell. And this is another one that was just released this year, so it is kind of a newish film.
Mm-hmm.
Stars Jonathan Rosenthal, Tamara Perry, Regis Terencio, hour and 37 minutes. You know, I can see why this may have taken 2 years to find a distributor. I would not want to invest in this if I were a film person.
Yeah.
This is bad.
This
is real bad.
I want to be nice to these people because they worked hard on it, but boy, it's not good. Yeah.
You know, of all the movies we have watched, new movies, maybe not classic movies, but all the movies that we have watched since we started the podcast 6 years ago, the worst movie we have watched, I'm still going to say, is Skinamarink.
Yeah, I'm going with that too.
I'm going number 2 with this one.
Oh, extremely
this was
harsh.
Bad. Huh. I could not wait for this garbage to end.
Huh.
You didn't hate it that much?
I didn't hate it as much as you, no.
I don't think anyone does. Huh. I don't think anyone could. This is so freaking boring.
When you hate a movie, you really hate a movie.
Well, last week we watched You'll Never Find Me, with two people in a mobile home having a conversation for almost 2 hours.
And that worked.
And it worked. It was good. It was entertaining. I was not bored at all.
Those can work, yeah.
This is two people having a phone call in a box for the same amount of time, and it was the most god-awful, boring, bad movie I've seen in a long time.
Maybe this one would have been good as a short.
Yeah, it would have been good as a short.
Because it had an interesting idea.
A wounded soldier wakes up trapped in a sealed cube. Jonathan Rosenthal does a noble job, according to Kevin, carrying a majority of the movie solo, but it's not enough to save a script that is long and drawn out with a big idea that doesn't come through clearly enough. We were mostly bored with it and would not recommend it.
No.
Oh, you are so diplomatic when you write this stuff.
I am, yeah. Well, I thought Jonathan Rosenthal himself was not at fault here. I was trying to emphasize that.
He's the only actor that we see.
For the most of it.
For the most of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's fine.
99%
and
of it.
Like you said, it was a good idea. There's a good science fiction idea behind this somewhere.
But, boy, it just goes on with the same thing over and over.
Much too long.
Uh-huh.
All right, well, tell us what's going on.
Well, we open on a military invasion of some Iraqi village.
This is early 90s.
Yeah, uh-huh. It goes badly for the men involved. One man falls and sees something very strange with a very bright light, and credits roll. Well, Miles Willis wakes up in pain from being shot in the side, but he's not in the desert anymore. He's in a big square room. There's no windows or doors, so how will he get out?
And immediately we're reminded of the movie Cube. Which was we still haven't done Cube.
I love Cube.
I love Cube, too. It's a good movie. It's very cool. The guy wakes up in a cube. He's got to solve a puzzle. Mm-hmm. Just like this. But this doesn't go anywhere. Go
No.
on.
Well, yeah. Well, he uses his medical supplies to patch himself up, still obviously in pain, and he looks up and sees the word abandon written upside down on the wall. He looks again, and all appears next to it.
Like in real time.
Well, suddenly it gets very hot, and Miles takes most of his clothes off, which worked. It gets hotter and hotter, and he starts screaming in pain until he passes out. Well, after he wakes up, gravity seems to shift, and everything falls to the wall and then the ceiling. Is this room rotating? Except the gravity is skewed like to the walls. It's just really confusing on the gravity thing. And he's now standing on what used to be the ceiling, except his canteen is dripping water sideways.
Weird.
And this was a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
And it's kind of like he's being tested, except this kind of stuff just kept going on too long without any progression of the story. Not enough. Well, Miles grabs his satellite phone and calls for help. His satellite phone rings, but by the time it does, it's up on the ceiling now, and he can't reach it. Temperature changes again, and it gets super freezing cold in the room. Gravity shifts again, and Miles manages to grab his phone. He hits redial, and a woman answers. He thinks she's behind what's been done to him, but it's clear she's in a similar situation. They argue back and forth for what feels like a couple hours.
Yes.
Yeah. And Brian says...
I stopped paying attention around this point and started going through Reddit, yes.
Oh, my. Well, after the phone call ends, gravity picks up and gives Miles a good stretch. The thing like gets super, super heavy. And then the walls literally start closing in on him, but he falls and knocks himself out before that finishes.
Probably a good place to stop.
Probably is.
Yeah, up until he picks up the cell phone, it was all right. The war thing was good. The mystery in the beginning was good. Once he starts talking on the phone, the movie becomes Phone Call the Movie.
And
it goes on for the rest of the movie.
That same
everything
thing goes on too long.
The phone call goes from about the 15-minute point to the end of the movie.
And the weirdness with the gravity and stuff and the shrinking.
More of the same. Shrinking walls, gravity,
not enough
temperature.
Progression of this interesting idea. And they finally do kind of get to where they were going with the idea. But by then, it's like, I don't care anymore.
Please be done.
Kind of. Yeah.
Is this horror, or did they misspell snorer?
Oh, aren't you clever?
Almost the entirety of the film is a phone call between two characters, one of whom we see and one we don't. We aren't given any reason to care about either of them, and a lot of that second hour is I'm talking about personal stuff that we've never seen the other characters are talking about. We've never seen the woman that he's talking to on the phone at all.
It felt like filler.
We don't care. Yeah, we really don't.
It didn't have anything to do with the situation that was going on, really.
Yeah. Well, there was just so much talking between these two people that I had a very hard time paying attention, which probably led to me tuning out some important details of their character that I still don't care about.
Well, I think, and maybe they were trying to get the arguing and the personal stuff to get them to bring everything out, and then they had to come together.
Well, it was like it's just like going back to You'll Find Me last week.
Get together to solve the problem, the equation.
Yeah, like Cube.
Yeah, kind of.
But last week we talked about You'll Find Me, where two people in a mobile home talking the whole time, and they talked about their past lives and their history, but it was still interesting because there was things happening.
Yeah.
I mean, little things. They were just walking around doing stuff in a mobile home. That's not exciting. But it was still interesting. This one has all the science fiction-y stuff going on, and it was still managed to be boring. Well, there are obvious similarities between this and Cube from 1997, except this is even lower budget than that one was. It's just a guy in an empty room. There's a lot of discussion about some equation. Now, maybe I missed something about that. Where did this equation come from?
It was on the wall. And
no, there was one letter in Arabic.
Yeah,
it wasn't an equation.
And somehow they put it together that it was an equation.
And then he comes up with all this complicated math stuff because, this soldier in Iraq is a math genius.
Well, he just happened to be, and she happened to be too, so that's part of it. There was some reason that they were chosen, because they were both math geniuses.
I still don't see where one line of Arabic that means, I think, sine or cosine or something leads to all that.
It's because you're not a math genius.
I guess not. It's far too slow. Some movies are a slow burn, but this is boring from the start to the end. Would have made a good 10 or 15 minutes short, but not a full-length film. There is probably a cool sci-fi idea buried in here somewhere, but it's really just Phone Call, the movie. On my new list of worst waste of times in horror films, this is number 2, right after Skinamarink.
Okay, I'm not going to put it number 2 on my dislike list. I'm not harshing on it that much. But I blame the script above all else for the failure. It's just too stretched out. And
it's a guy in a room with a phone. The script is all they've got.
Core of it, and they stretched it out. Yeah. I actually, and I have a note here that I thought Jonathan Rosenthal was actually pretty good carrying the solo work. And he has some realistic reactions to the situation. He's working his butt off there, but it just wasn't very interesting, like you said.
Is he somebody? Because you and other reviewers that I've seen keep mentioning him as if that's a name I'm supposed to recognize. Is he from something else?
He's done other stuff.
Okay,
I mean, not a huge hit, but yeah.
All righty.
And I apologize. I saw this movie on a list of recommended horror movies.
Oh, I got the movie for us because they said it was good. You know.
Yeah, I believe it was a list of science
fiction.
You didn't
pick
horror.
This one.
I didn't.
No, I picked this one.
Okay.
To my eternal shame.
Yeah.
Starve Acre, 2024, directed by Daniel Kokotajlo, written by him and Andrew Michael Hurley. Stars Matt Smith, Morfydd Clark, and Arthur Shaw. Hour and 38 minutes. So we got our Doctor Who meets Lord of the Rings crossover here. We didn't know we needed.
My favorite of the week.
This is a fine example of folk horror. Quiet and peaceful in a beautiful countryside, but dark evils brewing in the background. It's low on action and heavy on emotion and atmosphere. It's weird and interesting, and we both liked it a lot. A big thumbs up from the horror guys.
You betcha.
Yeah, well, what goes on here?
And then just a little taste. Well, we see old-looking houses in a hilly terrain.
That's how we know it's folk horror.
Yes.
It's out in the British countryside.
Yep. We cut to Juliet talking to her son Owen before bedtime. Husband Richard says they don't get to town often enough as Owen plays with other children. They cut to a festival in
this
town.
Big festival, yeah.
It's a community party, and there is soon screaming as one of the ponies loses an eye. Owen is there, holding a pointy stick. Yeah, he poked this horse's eye out.
That kid is messed up.
He's a little messed up, yeah. Well, Richard and Juliet talked to a child psychiatrist about the incident. They all moved out into the country 2 years ago, and Owen seemed to be adjusting normally. Juliet reports that Jack Gray talks to him in his sleep. The voice in his head provokes Owen to do bad things, is what Owen says. Well, Richard knows about Jack Gray. He's a wood sprite that the local mythology talks about. Richard is actually an expert on mythology and archaeology and all ancient history.
And anthropologist, a local specializing in the area.
Yep, that's his gig. Yep. He blames old Gordon, the groundskeeper, who must have talked to Owen about that.
Okay, so at this point we're figuring the kid's possessed like The Exorcist. Or maybe he's a psycho like we've got to talk about something. We've got to talk about Kevin? What was that one?
There's something
about Kevin, yes.
Yeah.
So, this kid is apparently some kind of little monster. That's what this movie is about.
But is it his fault, or is it the evil Jack Gray?
Well, it doesn't matter, because read the next paragraph.
Well, Richard and Owen look for fossils in a creek bed. Meanwhile, Juliet confronts Gordon about what Owen's been learning from him. Later, Richard goes to the university where he teaches, as Owen passes out at home, and then is taken to the hospital where he dies.
Okay, it wasn't about the kid at all.
And
that was probably the biggest surprise of the movie.
And we don't feel like that's a spoiler because it happens so soon.
It's very early in, yes.
Yeah, we're not, and there's a whole lot of interesting things happen after that.
Yeah, but it seemed like the whole movie was going to be about this weird kid.
Well, that's kind of what you go into expecting. Yeah, but I'm going to stop there.
Okay, yeah. All right, so we got one surprise there, but there are more surprises coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might say it's a hair-raising story.
You might.
Yeah, we went into this one blind, and we were both shocked at Owen's early demise. We thought the movie was going to be about him, but it wasn't. Once the rabbit appeared, we both had a very good idea where it was going to go, but that's still not what happened. I'm not going to read. I'm not going to read more of this.
Yeah, that's too spoiling.
The rabbit is part CGI, I think, and part puppet. It starts to get pretty weird toward the end, but it does take a long time to get there. There's zero action in this movie. It's purely psychological, but if you like folk horror type stories and psychological horror, it's very good.
Yeah, the cast, script, and direction were all great.
Just don't expect zombies or anything like that.
No, not high action.
Anything to add?
No, that's about it. Yeah, liked it a lot.
You know what's worse than clowns?
What's that?
Clowns in the woods.
Conjured black and white clowns.
Yeah, monochrome clowns.
Yeah.
Our first short film this week is called Conjured Clowns from 2024, directed by Keely Jones, written by Tayla Sengali, and Keely Jones stars Tayla Sengali. A little under 10 minutes, and you can watch this one on YouTube. There's a link in the show notes. What happens?
Well, a young woman gets a job at a funeral home. While doing some cleaning, she finds a box of unlabeled ashes.
And I notice if you look in the background, there's posters with the funeral home's name on it. Mm-hmm. This is a real place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like maybe not the best advertising.
Well, she decides to go out to the park and spread them nicely. Because, she asks, what are we supposed to do with them? And they're like, I don't know.
I didn't know they were there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Do whatever. Throw them out, whatever. Well, she does go, except it's a windy day, and she gets a face full of ashes.
Isn't that the way it always goes?
Yeah, sometimes. And suddenly she starts seeing creepy clowns. Are they real, or is it just the dust in her eyes? As the afternoon progresses, she finds out.
Those are some creepy clowns.
And this was cool how they did this one. I liked it.
Tayla Jones as the main character is fine, but the rest of the cast, the people at the funeral home, are not so great.
Well, they're okay, but it's not about them. It's about her.
Still, they get the story across, and the situation is interesting. It's well shot, sounds good, looks good, and is just long enough to tell the story it needs to. Very nice.
Yes, very nice one.
Especially if you like clowns.
Or don't like clowns. Next up, we have Crazy Car from 2021, which was written and directed by James S. Osborne, stars Aaron Avett, Grant Davis, and Christopher J. Gannon. Just under 7 minutes on this one.
Well,
honk.
What
happened in this one?
Caitlin runs inside the house to avoid her abusive boyfriend, but he goes right inside after her, telling friend Eric to wait in the car. Eric hears the two arguing indoors and laughs. He's seen this all before. Suddenly, the car starts up, but Eric sees that the keys aren't in the ignition. The car isn't laughing.
No, it's not.
Well, this one's short at under 7 minutes, but we get everything we need to know. We see that Caitlin has been dealing with the abusive Jason for quite a while, and that his friends just enabled the behavior. If only someone, or something, was on her side.
She's going to get her wish.
It's very good. It all happens at night, in the dark, but we can see everything, so the lighting is good. I am so tired of black-on-black movies.
Where things happen in the dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody complained about Game of Thrones back in the day, and now we're all complaining about Rings of Power.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up.
Black things in the dark, yes.
Yeah.
But
and that's made for television.
Yeah.
It's not like, yeah, I don't understand.
But this one, anyway, the lighting is really good, so yay for that. So the acting does the job, and the special effects, although minimal, are effective. Very well done.
Yeah, it was.
And what's next?
Rather lighthearted one. The Life of Death.
Oh, wait a minute. Death is lighthearted?
Yeah, it's another one. Last week we had Death Comes a Calling or whatever it was.
And we've got a death-based short next week, too. We
should have had a death theme.
I think the capital D for death has gotten into my YouTube algorithm somehow.
Yeah, maybe.
So, written and directed by Marcin Dubiniak, stars Adonis Williams, Mirarai Sithole, you got to say that name right.
Wow.
Jack Hillman and Cicely Rockmore, 6.5 minutes, and watch it in the show notes. What happens?
Well, Death walks down the busy street of New York, doing his job like everyone else, except suddenly he's hit by a car.
bam.
Well, if this was a normal person, their life would flash before their eyes. So what does Death himself see as his life is flashing before his eyes?
Very interesting idea.
Yeah.
It was really well done. There's no dialogue. Was there? I don't think there was.
Not really, no.
It's always clear what's going on and why. I call this more cute than horrific. But, I mean, it's very well made, and death. You can't go wrong with death.
No, you can't.
Even in the death comedy. It's good.
Death has a life.
And it's short.
Yeah.
It takes us to The Quiet Zone from 2015, written and directed by Andrew Ionides, stars Jessica Bailey and Casey Alana Svetsios. 8 minutes and 41 seconds, not to be confused with The Quiet Place.
And this one I think is my favorite of the shorts. This wins for creepiness, and yeah, I liked this one.
Okay. Yeah, this was very mellow. I think I'm going to go with The Life of Death. But okay. Yeah. A woman rides on the subway trying to get her spreadsheets in order for a report she has to finish by morning. It's been a long day, and she's getting frustrated. Some bozo a few seats away starts whistling annoyingly, and they're clearly seated in the quiet zone of the train. She tells him to stop, and that's when her troubles really begin.
Yes.
Sometimes you let the bozos whistle. But it's got all the tropes you've seen before of someone being followed at night by a stalker. They're all done really well. We don't know who or what the whistling person is, but they really want people to keep it quiet, doesn't he?
And I really thought that the whistler had an element of a Cenobite about them.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got like a claw hand, one of those metal clicky.
Yeah, click.
Not a
click,
very
click.
realistic looking hand, one of those grabby kinds.
Yeah.
Yeah. The main actress does a good job, although she has very little to say in this. And the man, if he is a man, is suitably weird and supernatural without being too over the top.
Yeah, dressed as a man but seemed androgynous. So I wasn't completely sure about that.
Casey Ileana Savetsios.
See, Casey can be a man or a woman.
Ileana sounds like a woman, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's not a man.
It leaves you wondering.
It's a thing. Yes,
and it doesn't matter because it's not a human. So yeah.
All right, and the last one this week is called Shuck from 2024, written and directed by Emerson New and stars Heather Jacques. 5 minutes, 22 seconds, trailer in the show notes.
And I thought this one was more sad and sweet than horror.
It's more death.
But it's death, yeah.
Capital D, death.
Yeah, the
What
afterlife.
happens?
Well, a woman lies on her sickbed dying. There's a huge black wolf under her bed who says, "It's time." Yes, this wolf is death. Well, the woman wakes up in a huge field of grass with many spirits making their way through a doorway. And the wolf is there watching it all, except she's not ready yet. She decides to run the opposite way, and the wolf pursues her. This was really an interesting mix of animation types. It's kind of a stop action.
Yeah, her and the wolf
fabrics
are stop action, and then there's drawn animation with the ghosts.
Yeah, it was neat. And the grassy field, I think that was a stop action kind of thing too. Yeah. There's not much horror there, but it is death. So if you saw that same exact wolf story, wolf form in a different story,
It's kind of a scary looking wolf.
could be kind of creepy. Yeah, he's
He comes off as a cute, happy puppy dog toward the end, but
Yeah.
it looks like...
Creepy.
I picked this because the trailer looked like a werewolf.
yeah. There's no dialogue beyond the wolf saying it's time, but it's still a full little story.
Yeah.
It was a nice one.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Your favorite of the week, you're going to go with Starvaker?
Yep. And my favorite short being The Quiet Place. Not The Quiet Place, The Quiet Zone. Tough choices.
I like the dumb ones this week. I like the Meth Gator, and I like the Under Paris.
Okay.
Starvaker, though, is probably the best straight-up horror movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go with The Life of Death for the short, although it's really not horror either.
Very, very funny.
Very weird bunch.
Yeah.
And, hey, that's our show for this week.
Yeah, it is.
Stop in next week and pick up, what are we going to have, 5 more movies and some shorts?
I bet we will.
Seems very likely. I think we've got some indie movies coming up next week, which are always fun.
And if you see any of these movies and shorts yourselves, drop us a line and let us know what you think.
Email
we like to hear from people.
horrorguys.com.
Yeah.
Yes. And anyway, I forgot to mention Horror Monthly. The monthly print magazine has come out. It is available now at Amazon or anywhere you want to go. Go to horrormonthly.com, and it's right there on the homepage to take you wherever it is you want to buy it.
Wherever fine books are sold.
You can buy it direct from us in ebook format right there, or paperback, whatever you want. horrormonthly.com. Sign up for the newsletter at horrorweekly.com, or watch one of the shorts each day during the week at horrorguys.com.
Okay, I'll do that.
So many websites. I thought we were supposed to simplify these.
We were supposed to, weren't we?
Go to horrormonthly.com and follow some links. All right, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.